to be sure. Okay, yeah, it has started. All right. So let me share my screen again. And please, if you can see my screen after a few seconds, let me know, please.
You can
you see my screen, right? Okay. All right. This is just the SQL bootcamp that we started days ago or weeks ago. And basically basically what we want to do is querying Microsoft SQL Server with Transact SQL, querying Microsoft SQL Server with Transact SQL. And let me do like slideshow. So it's querying Microsoft SQL Server with Transact SQL, right? I want to do like a recap of what we have done a few weeks ago so that we bring us up to speed. And so for next week, we'll continue with the content. So I'll just be a bit, because we have just a few hours, an hour, 30 minutes. And if you can hear me, if you can't hear me as the section is going on, please let me know. And so to bring us up to speed, this is the bootcamp outline, right? This is a bootcamp outline. We have concept of relational database, retrieving data with the select statement, aggregate functions, null and date functions, string manipulations, joining tables, subqueries. We've done almost like 5 or thereabout. And we've done almost like 5 or thereabout. So, but I would quickly go through the SQL Server note that I do give out, and the one I shared out anyway, I shared it. Can you see my SQL Server? Hello, can you see my screen? What can you see on my screen, please?
the SQL.
SQL. Okay. So what we've done the relational database, the management system, we've done the basic select statement, we've done date and time functions, we've done aggregate functions. Yeah, we've done almost like more than half of the bootcamp. So, but we still have at least 2 months to end the bootcamp. So I will take it one step at a time. For every class, it's just going to be just one thing that will make sure we'll deal with that thing and deal with it very well, because we have at least 2 months left. Does that make sense? So what we've done so far, it's a bit much, but I'll try and go over it for today. Then I will encourage you guys to go over it also. So it might not be really 100% possible to go over everything, but I'll try as much as possible so that we can end just in an hour, 30 minutes. Yeah. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language. That is what SQL stands for. Yeah. Some people call it programming language. Some call it query language. Whichever way that you want to call it, it's still a language. Either it's a query language, either it's a programming language. What matters is a language that you can use to communicate with relational database. A language that you can use to communicate with relational database. So it is designed to manage data, to deal with data in RDBMS, which is Relational Database Management System, right? Relational Database Management System. So if you ever heard of the word relational database, then for you to communicate with that kind of a database management system, you need SQL. Now, the SQL we are doing is Transact SQL. It's not that there are different types of SQL, but depending on the engine you are writing it, some syntax differ, but basically SQL is SQL. So we are dealing with Transact SQL, how to extract data from a database. Now, like I mentioned before, SQL is designed to communicate with a relational database management system. So anywhere you heard of, or you've ever heard of RDBMS, then you communicate with it using SQL. Now, we have non-RDBMS. We have RDBMS. For the non-RDBMS, it's a NoSQL database. So this is this interview question that they get to ask, even if you sometimes you think it is a senior role. Doesn't matter if it's a senior or a junior role, they will ask you what is the difference between a relational database management system and a non-relational database management system. The main difference is relational database management system is structured. And that is why you can communicate with it using SQL, right? So non-relational database is non-structured, is not structured or non-structured, whichever way that you may want to put it. And when you say something is structured, it has numerous tables, uncountable, hundreds, thousands, millions of tables. And they are arranged. Those, of course, when you have tables, it's in columns and rows to make it easier to mine data. Yeah, so it's structured, non-RDBMS is non-structured. An example of RDBMS is SQL Server, Oracle SQL, Postgres, MySQL. The one we are using, this engine that we are writing in or on is called SQL Server. There is Postgres SQL, just like this workbench. There's MySQL workbench. It depends. So we are using SQL Server because I think people use it more compared to the others. So for those who are just joining us, who have been with us since the beginning, I'm just doing a recap today because of those who just joined us last week and this week. So from next week, we'll go back to case when statement. That's what we'll start with next week. So an example of non-RDBMS is MongoDB because it is a NoSQL database. It is also a complex database. For example, you can have MongoDB. If it's AWS, you can have DynamoDB. DynamoDB, that is one commonly used in AWS. So they are NoSQL database. So non-RDBMS is a NoSQL database, while RDBMS is a SQL database. Non-RDBMS is non-structured, while RDBMS is structured. RDBMS stores kind of data like document, kind of the normal data that we see, strings, integers, why not our DBMS store videos, things like that, videos, images, those are the kind of, this is not image, this is images. Those are the kind of data that is stored in non-structured database. So I've given you an answer to an interview question. So I won't bother about this. Let's go to data types. Data types, we have numeric. Numeric simply means numbers. And the type of numeric that we have is we have integer. Integer means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tiny int, also integer, but it's very small. Decimal is decimal number. So integer doesn't have decimal. Decimal has decimal number, as in 2.4, 2.5, 10.6. When you have a column that is salary, that has to do with amount, then the kind of data you use, the kind of data type is money. When you say data type, you mean the type of data, the type of data. So we have character string, that is variable character, nchar, nvarchar. Now, the difference between all these nvarchar and varchar, the variable character is sometimes the number of characters it can store. There's what you call Unicode what they call it now. There's what we call Unicode characters. Yeah. So those, it depends on the kind of data, it depends on the kind of storage that you have that will determine if you use a variable character or nchar or nvarchar. This one doesn't really depend on you. It depends on the developers, to be honest. But as you go in your data journey after a year or 2 years, you may want to be a developer. So all these are very important. Then date and time data type, date and time, like hire date, birth date, order date, modify date, any column that is date and time, you use date data type or datetime data type. Hope that makes sense. Any questions so far before we continue? Just for 5 minutes. Any question?
There was one you said after integers, then you said small something. You said it's usually tiny, but I didn't get the word you used to describe it. Apart from integers and decimals.
It's tiny int. Tiny int is just something that is very, very small. It depends on, like I said, it borders more on for those who are developers. But
Okay.
tiny hint is an integer that is very, very small, tiny. That's, that is what you call tiny. So yeah, don't bother yourself about it much. But
can I
if you
ask, is it
become
something like
a
square roots or something like, is it like square? Like those tiny, like,
no,
okay, no
no,
worries.
no,
Thank you.
no. If I see something there, I can, let me see if there's a tiny int stuff that we can use. If I see any tiny int thing, then I will let you know about it. So, but let's continue because it's not really a focus. Fine, you may need it later, but it's not really a focus. So we've now moved on to primary key and foreign key. These are also interview questions. What is a primary key? A primary key is what uniquely identifies a record in a table. Everybody knows what a table is, right? A table has column and rows, right? Inside those column and rows, you have record, as in what is inside the table. They are called record. So what uniquely identifies a record in a table is primary key. For example, I know almost everybody here, we have one work that we do or the other, and you have your ID card. And as a staff of any organization, you have an employee number or an employee ID, whatever, either it's ID or a number. Even if you, hello?
Hello, sorry, which screen are you showing? Because from my end, what I can see is the boot camp outline, and I see people also putting in the chat that they can't see your screen. Are you showing any other screen aside from the boot camp outline?
So I'm sharing SQL Server screen. I guess some people were asking questions about SQL Server. So which screen had you
We
seen?
can only see the boot camp one.
We see just
Are you
boot camp.
serious?
The
Yes.
presentation.
Yes.
Okay, let me do the sharing again. I think it's because I changed.
I was able to see the SQL.
So I know some people are seeing the SQL. So I don't know. Anyway, can you see the SQL now?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
It's showing
Why
up.
are some people seeing SQL
Yeah.
and some people are seeing it? Anyway, let's continue. So we talked about primary key and we talked, so everything I've been saying before, this is the notes. If you've gone through the notes, for those who were here last week, you would have seen everything like this, but let me just talk about them so that from next week we'll move from where we stopped like some weeks ago. So I mentioned primary key. Primary key is what, this is also an interview question. Either is a senior data analyst, if they just want to know that what you are doing with your hands, you can say it, you have an understanding of it. Yeah. So primary key is what uniquely identifies a record in a table. If this word unique is not there, then the answer is nothing. The answer means nothing, right? it means nothing. That means you've not defined it. So a table has column and rows. What is inside those column and rows? The record. What is inside is called record. So what uniquely identifies you or identifies a record in the table is a primary key. For example, I know majority of us, we have one job or the other that we do, and you have, even if you are 2 million, your organization can boast of 2 million staff, right? Everybody in that organization will have an employee ID. And for the fact that you are 2 million, nobody will share employee ID with anybody. Your employee ID is unique to you, yes or no? People might know you with your name, but the company is not interested in your name. They know you by your, what do you call it, your ID. Does that make sense? They know you with your ID. So that's why if you are filling form, they'll tell you your ID. Even if they don't know your name, once they have your ID, once they slot it into the system, it releases your information, everything about you. So that thing that uniquely identify you, but in data times, what uniquely identifies a record in a table is called primary key, right? Foreign key is what references the primary key in another table. Now, in the real sense, primary key and foreign key, they are the same thing. The only difference is that the location of where those keys are located. For example, let me use a database. So for those of us who have not downloaded this, I've sent a YouTube link. Please go to that YouTube link in the email I forwarded on Tuesday and download it. Now, if you see this table, what can you see? The first one, we have product key, right? This product key means if you have a store and you sell 5 products, each of those 5 products or goods will have a unique ID, which is the product key in this scenario. You can see PK. PK is primary key. So if you have 5, if you sell 5 items, that means only 5 items that you sell in your store, right? 5. But when it comes to sales table, the number of times people ordered, if one of the item was ordered or has been ordered 20 times within a month, it will show 20 times in the sales table. Does that make sense? Because it was ordered 20 times, right? So in this case, you can see this product key here is PK. PK means primary key. But when you come to this place, product key here is showing what? Foreign key, because it is in another location. So it references the primary key in another table. So if your name is Tunji or your name is Bob, wherever you go, your name is always Bob, right? If you are a British and your name is Bob, if you go to Canada, your name is also Bob. The only thing that has changed is your location, is your environment. Does that make sense? So primary key is what uniquely identifies a record in a table, while foreign key is what references your primary key. So if your primary key, if your employee ID is 12, yeah, and you work with, let's say, Barclays, a bank in the UK, and they moved you from, yeah, and you're still in Barclays and you join a business area called risk department or risk business area, your ID will still be 12. If after 6 months you move from risk business area, you move to the financial crime, your ID will still be 12. If from the financial crime you move to the data science, your employee ID will still be 12. So as you move from one location to another, what happens to your primary key is that it changes to foreign key, but it's still the same number. Do you understand? So in the main table is primary key. When you get to another table that references the main table, it becomes the foreign key. Does that make sense? Let's move forward. Any question before we go? No question. Okay. Now let's go to schema. let's go to schema. Now, schema, if you have
Sorry,
ever worked with okay.
sorry, could you share the YouTube link again? Or do we drop our email addresses for the files?
Okay, well, I just joined today.
Yes, this is my first time joining.
I just drop your email. I'll share the YouTube link to download.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry for
So
interrupting.
schema, all right, no
Sorry,
worries. Schema,
Hola. So sorry. Would it be easier if I forward the email you sent to those that haven't received the email, just so that it's taken out of the way?
please
Or
do.
do you want me to do that?
Please do. Thank you. Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
so if
Yeah.
you drop your email address, I'll forward my email to the one I received from Caller to everyone.
Okay, please, who is that?
My name is Kemi.
Who- Kemi. Okay, that means Kemi will be our class governor. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, can I suggest, Kemi, if you can copy Kola in that email so that in
Yeah.
case he needs to also have
Very
everybody's
well.
email, he can
Okay.
have them.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. So schema, if you have ever worked with data, maybe product owner, data scientist, they'll be mentioning schema. Schema is, in the real sense, a collection of objects. It's a collection of objects. And those objects could be tables, could be views. We will not talk about views because it's beyond our scope. It's, yeah. Don't let us talk about views. It's collection of, so when you hear people say schema, most times they are talking about tables. Let's just leave it like that. They are talking about tables. So schema is a collection. Something is like a container that stores tables, views. Views are virtual tables. And it also stored procedure. Stored procedure, they are code that you write and you save so that you can rerun them again and again and again. So you don't have to write that code all over again anytime you need them. That is what you call stored procedure. That means a procedure is like, stored procedure is like what you call, there's this stuff in Excel, what do you call it? Macro, yeah. Repeating the same process again, you just run that macro. So stored procedures is something similar to macros in Excel. Now, so let's move to where we start writing the query. So we call this basic select statement. Basic select statement. Now, this is a syntax for basic select statement. Before I continue, when you see this double hyphen means I want to comment this out. For example, for those who have done Python, I think it's the hash sign. So for SQL Server, I don't know of other engine, SQL Server, if you want to comment on a particular code, you put double hyphen, right? Or you highlight it and go to a sign. If you just go over all these items here, and you see one, this says comment out the selected line. So if you click on it, it comments it out for you. Do you understand? And if you want to uncomment it, you look for this. A lot of organizations use this SQL Server, a lot of them. And I mean a lot of organizations, they use SQL Server. So let's continue. Basic select statement. Now, select is the most used clause or word in SQL, the most used, as in there's hardly any query that you don't see this word select. So what are you selecting? This is just a syntax, yeah? Select column 1, select column 2 from, where are you picking column 1 and column 2 from? There should be NA. Where are you picking column 1 and column 2 for? You are picking them from a table. What's the name of the table? You put the name of the table here. So select column 1, column 2 from table name. Now, comma, separate columns. Comma, separate columns. And when you have picked your last column, there's no need for a comma. Does that make sense? Comma, separate columns. And when you have picked your last column, there is no need for a comma. So you just say from, you drag the table name here. So I want to do an example, which I've done for maybe like 4 weeks ago for a particular table. So I said, example, from a table called dim customer table, list the first name, last name, and customer key of customer. So before we continue, anytime you work as a data person, as a business analyst or data business analyst, you need to understand your database in your organization. I have been using this demo database for, let's say, for over 2 years right now. So I understand where to look for stuff. So it's not like it's just what you get to know within a month, depending on where you work, or 2 months. Sometimes it takes 6 months. So I've been used to this. This is not a real life database, it's a demo database from Microsoft. So I understand where I can pick stuff from because I've been using it for a while. So it's not really a skill. It's, yeah, I would say it's a skill anyway, but if you have been using something for a while, you know where it is. So if you are looking for dim customer, this is a dim customer table. Dim customer. So I want to list all this information. So I say select. I said column 1, column 2, column, either 10 columns or 20 columns, whatever. So all these are column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 6, column 10, as many columns I want to choose. So I say select. This is a table. So I dragged customer key, pick it and drag it, drop it. Yeah, drop it. Customer key, select first name, I pick it, drop it, select last name, select gender, pick it, drop it, put it back. So after you have done that, so where are you picking all these columns from? Which is this. I said I'm picking them from table name. What's the table name? Table name is dim customer. So click on this, drag it, and drop it in front of the from plus. That is dim customer. So when you run it, so when you want to run or execute your query, make sure that you go to the top left corner here, the top left, yeah, top left. Is it top left? Yeah, top left. And change the database. All these are the database you have installed on this SQL server. So make sure you change the database to the database where you are picking the table from. I am using the table dim customer, so it is from AdventureWorks DW. It is from AdventureWorks DW. So by the time you change it and you run it, it gives you the result at the result is always at the bottom here. Hope that makes sense. Let's continue. Now, you will see this as here. As in SQL is called alias. Alias. If your name is Deborah, I can call you Debbie instead of calling the full name Deborah. So that is an alias or alias, whichever way you want to pronounce it. So alias in SQL is, we use alias as, this is where we write alias as, right? That means there's a column from this table. This table, dim customer, there's one of the column is customer key, but I don't like that name, customer key. I want to change it to a name that I like, just like changing Deborah to Debbie. So I'll say, I want to rename this column from this table, dim customer, column customer key. I want to rename it as customer ID. So by the time you run this query, which we did a few minutes ago, it shows as customer ID, not customer key. Does that make sense? Because I have renamed it. Now, this is just for your own result. This customer ID will not appear in the dim customer table in the database. You cannot alter what is inside the database except you are the database administrator. What you are doing is for your own analysis, result that you want to do. You don't want customer key, you want to change it to customer ID. So you can now pick this, highlight it, copy with headers, go to Power BI, go to Excel, input your data, do your pivot table or your report in Power BI, and show your, maybe it's column charts, bar charts, histogram, scatter plot, whichever one that you want to do, depending on your analysis. Hope that makes sense. Any question before we continue?
Sorry to take you back here. So, when you did the from dbo.dim customer, did you type the DBO and then drag the dim customer? I think I missed that part at the from place.
I didn't type anything. I'm
Okay.
just dragging and dropping.
So
Like
what did
this
you
dim
drag?
customer.
Yeah.
This is dim customer. I can click on it, drag it, and drop it here. It appears like that.
So
Then
it's
click out.
together. The name is together. So when you dragged it
Yes,
showed the DBO with the dot and everything together.
exactly,
All right.
exactly.
Okay.
Mind you, depending on your organization, you might not see anything like DBO or whatever. DBO is a schema name. That was what we mentioned there. Where is schema? DBO is a schema name. Some organization is only the table name that you will see. Some organization, you will see the database. Some organization, what you see is this. Dim customer is from this database, AdventureWorks DW. Some organization, you see it like this. This dot. This is what you see, some organization. This is what you see. Database dot table name. So, but the most important thing is the table name. So depending on your organization, how you want to write it, it doesn't matter. And this square bracket that you see, square bracket, is there by default. I didn't put it there. So if it's not there when you're writing your own, when you're working in your organization, don't bother your head about that. That one doesn't matter. Does that make sense? So, yeah. So that I've not seen this before, but it's nothing. Yeah. So if that's the only question, let's continue. Then where clause, in Excel,
Please, I have a
you
question.
can do, okay.
Okay, so my question is, how, this is my first time, so it's possible you've covered it before now, I don't know. How do we access the database? Like on this table you are showing, I already see that the tables are there. But let's assume I'm starting afresh. How do I connect to the database, or how do I import those tables I want to work on?
It depends on your organization. If you start a job and you need to understand it, you need to ask questions from those, maybe your colleagues who have been there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Accessing the database is another thing entirely, because you need to have access, which can take you 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, even 6 months, because they don't want to give access to anybody, even for the fact that you are employed, you are a staff. So access to the database is what you just request access for, maybe through your line manager or through those that you work with. So that one is particular to whichever organization that you work with. Yeah. You just ask questions. How do I get access? Then understand it. Once you understand it, then you can now write in your query. This one is a demo. I understand it. It's not what, of course, some organization, this is what you use, not even some. Most organizations use this. And some departments use it, some departments use another one. So it depends on your department. It depends your organization. But to have access to a database, you request for access to it. Yeah. But they won't just give access to anybody. Yeah. I've answered the question.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
So let's move with a bit of speed. Now, where clause in Excel, you can, from the data tab, you can apply filter on your data where you see that small arrow, the way you click on to apply filter. Do you understand? Of course, I know many of us use Excel. Yeah, many of us use Excel. So in SQL2, you have what you call where clause. Where, for example, you want to see all the products that are blue in color. So after writing all this that we did in about a minute ago, you put where clause. Now, these things are not what we need to cram. They are the normal English that we speak. Yeah? Where are you coming from? I'm coming from Tesco. I went to Tesco. Where? Where in Tesco? No, where? So where is a clause. In front of where you put the filter condition. The filter condition could be anything simple, could be anything complex, could be anything very complex, or even very, very complex, depending on whatever you are writing. Now, let me say I want to list all the products that are yellow in color. Anytime you want to start writing a query, first look at what you need before you start writing select. It's like want to build a house. Even if you have $50 million, you won't just wake up in the morning and say you want to start building the house. You need to get the right people, the right professional, the right whatever for you to get the right thing done. So even if you know how to write SQL, you are the best guru, you are the guru, you are a guru in SQL, and you join an organization, you might you might be surprised that for the first 3 months, you don't even know where to start because you don't have access. Or you have access and you have millions of tables, you don't even know which table to go to. So understand where you are going, understand the requirements, understand your database. Very important. So produce the list of people products that are yellow in color, right? If I see this question, I say produce list of that are yellow. So I will say, okay, product. That means I need product table. I need product table. And I need to see yellow. Yellow means color. I will start looking for column that is color. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yellow means color. I'll start looking for, okay, a column that is named color because yellow is color. I will start looking for a product, a table that has the name product. Yeah. So I will say whichever column you pick, it depends on you. And it depends sometimes when you are given a project, they will tell you list, we want to see these columns. So whichever column they asked you to pick from, sometimes you might just use um your own, because of your experience, you think, okay, these are the columns that are ideal for them to see, right? So select product key. I'll look for the table product. This is product table in blue, highlighted. Expand it. So I'll say, okay, I need the product key. You drag the product key. Like I'd mentioned, I don't like product key. I like ID. So I say rename product key as what? Product ID. So I dragged English product name, drag and drop. I said, I don't like English product name. I said, rename it as product name, right? I said color because color, when you say yellow, yellow means color. That means there must be a column that is called color. So I'll say color as what? Change to product color. English description. Just drag any column that you feel is needed. Remember, what separates columns are comma, 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 comma. And in this English product name, like I mentioned before, you could put it after product ID. You can put it anywhere. It doesn't matter. But what matters most is like somebody that is brilliant, but you cannot read his handwriting. That means the person is as good as not brilliant at all. So let your query be neat. You can put your English product in anywhere, anyhow, but let it be neat. And after you have picked your last column, in this case, English description, there's no need for a comma because this is your last column. Does that make sense? Then from where? Table name. We have picked all these columns. Where are they coming from? From this table, dim products. So I want to see all yellow products. So I'll say where. This is where. This is where, right? Where? Yellow product. Okay, I say, okay, yellow is color. That means I need to go to the column called color. So I'll say where color. So I'm now dealing with the filter condition now. Where color, because it is yellow product and yellow is color. Where color equals to what? Yellow. Does that make sense? When you write yellow and you write it like this, it will not give you an answer. Why? Because yellow is a record under the column color. Yellow is an observation or a record under the column color. So yellow is a string. So you put it, when you say string, string means A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H to Z. Yellow is not a column. It is an observation or a record under the column color. So I'll say where color is yellow. Does that make sense? So that's this in blue is the filter condition, right? So when you run this, it gives the results. And make sure when you are, can you see that all the products we have is yellow? If it's blue that you want, if there is blue there, that is if there is blue there, you change it to blue. And sometimes you have to type it the way it is typed in the record so that you get results, blue. And when you are lighting, don't, for example, let me intentionally leave S out, X in the select, and you are click execute, it will not work. So you have to highlight everything so that you won't be, sometimes you won't know that that's why it's not working. You'll be there for 30 minutes trying to check the query, execute, and it works. Also, when you are naming, when you are trying to rename a column, don't put product and put space and say product ID. It doesn't work like that. It is an error. It's either you put them together or you put an underscore in between them. Or if you are so adamant to have a space in between them, then put them inside a quote. Put them inside a quote like this. Yeah. Or if you don't want to put them inside the quote, put them inside a square bracket. But why should I go through all this pain? Because I want to have the space inside product ID. I don't have time for all that, to be honest. So I just put product ID together or product underscore ID if you like something to be in between. Does that make sense? Any question before we go? So anytime you see date, this date means this is what we did. Underneath this date means everything we did on the 10th of December. You can see that is a while ago. So, but because of those who just joined, that's why we are doing this. Any question before we continue? Jimmy?
Yeah, thanks.
Jimmy, can't hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can I hear you now?
Yeah, thank you. So my question is, there seems to be some sort of reliability on what is in the database, right? So I'm just wondering, for argument's sake, if there is no reference to color, right, in the database, I mean
Mhm,
the column color, right, in the database for
mhm,
where, if it's not
mhm.
there, right, if it, or maybe it's misspelled, or maybe there's no reference for color, how do you then how do you query, right, the color for the where, um I'm not sure what to call that, but basically
Yeah,
how do you query that from the database?
yeah. I mentioned before that I've been used to this database. For them to ask for color from you, let's say because this is simple stuff in your organization, they know that there's a place where you get the color. Yeah. It might not be there might not be a column called color, right? But there will be a column that you get this blue from. So they now believe that because you're a data or a business analyst or a product manager, you will find out yourself. That is why I said, let me give you an example of myself. Where I work now, I was given one project like that. And I spent over 2 months on that project, me and one guy like that. But at the end, we finally was able to do it. And the thing was because I work with a Spanish bank. some of their tables are in Spanish. The way they name their what do you call it? Their columns, they are in Spanish. They have to give me a PDF file. And now from that PDF, and I was able to read and read and read and realize, okay, this column, this is what it means in English. So if there is no color, there'll be a column that will give you this blue, whatever, this blue color. So you need to ask questions from those who have been in that organization. Where can I get this thing from? Sometimes it might take you 3 months, my brother. You just have to ask questions, because for them to say we need blue, yellow product that are blue, they know that there is a place in that database that can give you this blue. So you must find out by asking questions from those who have been there for years. Have I answered the question?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So basically, you just have to really collaborate to
Exactly.
get what you're
Yeah.
working on. All right, that's
So
fair. Thank you
that
so much.
and sometimes if you work with people that are not that nice, they may make life difficult. Yeah. So
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
So let's
So it takes a lot of work. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. It's because I've been using this thing for this past 2 years. And like I said, National Health Service, this is what they use. This is what they use. Yeah. This is part of what they use. So let's continue because of our time. Any other question? Now, there's what you call SQL operators. We did all this thing, it took us hours, but because for those who joined us, I just want to do a recap so that what I will implore us to just go over and study. No matter, I can't remember the name of the guy who is SQL expert, Transact SQL. That guy is, I think he was a originator, I don't know. If that guy should teach you SQL, and you don't go back to it every day, or maybe it's 4 times or 3 times in a week, anytime you want to do it, make sure it's consistent. If you don't do it, it will not stay. It will not stay. If I teach you all these advanced SQL, how to create trigger, stored procedure, common table, expression, Windows function, if you just close it and you don't go over it twice, thrice, 4 times a week, it will not stay. It will disappear. So whatever you get from any training, either you pay or it's free or whatever, it depends on what you put into it. Even if you pay, you can't get more than this, to be honest. So, but it depends on what you put into it. That's just an advice. Let's continue. Yeah. SQL operators. In mathematics, these are what we have in mathematics. So SQL operator, we want to talk about comparison. Compare. How do you compare stuff? Comparison operator. We have from mathematics equal to this equal to. I will jump this one. I will come back. We have greater than. Everybody knows this is a sign of greater than. Everybody knows this is less than. Everybody knows this is greater than or equal to. Or if you don't know, please let me know so that we would explain. Everybody knows that this is less than or equal to, right? Right? Now, not equal to is exclamation mark equal to together, or greater than and less than together. Either this or this means not equal to. Does that make sense? That is what it means. So we said products that are yellow in color the other time. So if you want to see every other product except yellow, that means you want to see every other one except yellow. So instead of listing where color is equal to white, comma, where color is equal to blue, where color is equal to green, where color is equal to black, since you don't want to see, you want to see everything but yellow. So you just say where color is not equal to yellow. Or you use, instead of this one, you use this one. It's still the same thing. If you should run this, execute, you will see that all the Some don't have. All the product color that you see, they don't have yellow. I think any some are not available. White, blue, multi. Can you see them? You can never see yellow because you say not equal to yellow. Does that make sense? Or you do it greater than or less than. That is that with that. So I want to say all sales amounts more than 500. Yeah. Like I said, this thing could be written like this. It's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. Yeah. It's still the same thing. So all sales amounts, I'll just say, okay, sales amount, that means I will go to sales table. Sales table is in this database is fact internal sales, DBO of fact internal sales. So what is that thing? What is that column that will give me sales amount? I was able to find out that there's a column called sales amount. Anytime you want to operate on any question and you have never used it before, select everything from that table. For example, I will say select. Select. If you want to say select all, yeah, from a table. So no, I will say change the all. Select. This is not this one. This one. Select all from a table. If you don't understand how a table looks like, select everything. Go and check what is inside the table before you start writing. Huh? Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, there's nothing like select all in SQL. All in SQL, you write it like this, asterisk. So which means select all. So asterisk means all. So instead of listing all the columns one by one, since you want to select all of them, there's no point listing them one by one, just like we are doing there. You are not listing parts of the column. You want to list all the columns. So you just use this one. So if you don't understand how a table looks like, select the top 20 or top 40. In this case, I can say select all. But in your organization, don't use select all. They will tell you, stop running that query. You are consuming too much memory. So you can say select top 50. Then pick your columns that you want. Let's say I want to pick product key. Yeah. Comma. I want to pick, let me take this down. Top 50, top whatever, top unit price. Yeah. So if you execute it, to give you the first 50 rows. Yeah. Can you see the number of rows at the top? No, bottom right is 50 because you put top 50. If you want to see top 100, put top 100. Yeah. At least we'll have an understanding of how the table looks like if it's SQL Server. If it's not SQL Server, top will not work. Something else will work. You just find that from Google. That's it. But if you want to know everything from that table, just say, that is if the table is not that large, just say select all. Select all from, drag it, drop it from this table because it's not large. But don't do it select all in your organization, please. Don't do select all in your organization. Let's say the table is no more than all these 2,000 rows, 50,000 rows, thereabout, or 60,000. This one is just 60,000. So it's not much. You can do select all. But in your organization, they will have millions of rows. Don't do select all, please. So that is that. So all means, yeah, this thing means all. Any question? Then we've done sales amount. Just sales amount is a column, more than 500. That's it. It's as simple as that. Any question? before we continue? Okay, that means there is no question, or that means there are no questions. So, are we enjoying the class, right?
Yes.
It might be a lot to take in, but because it didn't start with us, but yeah, bear with us. That means you need to do serious reading. So let's go to logical operators. Logical operators, you have and is used with between. You have or, you have in, you have not in, you have exists. I didn't talk about exists. I told them to go and read it themselves. Then we talk about null, talk about is not null. Now, all products with sales amounts in the range 500 and 1,000. Let me bring this one like this so that you understand. It's still the same thing. It doesn't matter the way you write it, but just make it neat. So we all, from today's explanation, everybody understand this now, right? So I said all sales amounts. Sales amount is a column in sales in this table in blue. So sales amount will give me, sales amount is a column. So under sales amount, we have values there. So we said sales amounts, all products with sales amount within the range 500 and 1,000. So to be sales amount, where sales amount between 500 and 1,000 to give you the sales amount of that. So if you highlight it, and execute it. So every sales amount here you see is between 500 and 1,000. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Then this one, an example, I'm just doing a summary now. We did this, we explained a lot when we did it. So all black products. Now, black, you know black is color. So you look for the color column, right? You know more than 500 is less is the price of that good, not sales amount. Sales amount is quantity times unit price. Sales amount is a loaf of bread costs £5. Customer purchased 10. That would be 10. That means 5 times 10, £50 for those 10 items, right? That is sales amount. We all know that anyway. But the price is different from sales amount. Sales amount you have multiplied with the quantity. So the price is different from sales amount. So we are saying all black. When you say black, you know that, okay, your mind should go to a column called color. 500, you say, okay, that means 500 is the list price. I'm just assuming now because we are using a known database. You have to find out how your database looks like. So I will select all the columns I feel I need. So I'll say select product key, English product name. Then I will select color. I'm just rearranging them to make it look like a fine boy stuff. So I don't want English product name. So who can tell me now? I've been talking for a while. What is the meaning of, what is that thing I did there? The this manipulation. Who can just explain to me what you are saying in blue?
So you made an alias because you didn't want the name to bear the name of the cell, the column to bear English product name when you run your reports. So you gave it like an alias, the name that you want it to bear when you, and it doesn't affect the name in the database.
Thank you. Is that Kemi?
No, sure.
Okay, thank you. So black means color. So I'm saying where color is black. And at the same time, list price is more than 500. So if you have, after selecting all of this column, if you want to fulfill this condition in blue, black product means black means color. Black means color. So automatically it's under the column color. Color is black. Color is black. That is black products. More than is greater than. When you say all black products more than, that means it is a black product. And at the same time, that's why you say and. It's all black products more than. That means it is a black product satisfy the first condition. And at the same time, more than. That means and more than 500. 500 is list price. That means list price greater than 500. And means is not only black, it is black. At the same time, it is more than 500. If it is black and it's less than 500, it doesn't satisfy this condition. Does that make sense? So by the time you run this, all the products you are seeing, they are black. Can you see? Black, 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 black. And they are more than 500. Nothing is less than 500 here. Never. It won't happen. It's different from all. It's different from all. If you put all, that means you are saying the product is black or the list price is 500. Well, that is not what we want to achieve, because what we want to achieve is what is up here. So what this comment, this is the result in blue that answers this comment. Any question, please? I don't think we'll be able to finish it today, but yeah, I will please beg us to go and study them. And any question, ask in the next class. Any question?
Can I just quickly ask, you know, the and is in gray. Is it because it's inside the description? The
It's the SQL server, is the SQL server that attributes the color to it just itself by default. So don't bother yourself about that.
Okay,
This where you are seeing in purple or whatever, it's I didn't do that. It's SQL that gave it that thing itself. Right?
Thank you.
Have I answered that question?
Yes.
So I want to see list all products, all white, yellow, and black products. At the same time, remember, black, yellow, and white, they are colors. So we're still talking about color. I'm just making simple examples because it is whatever complex stuff you see in SQL, complex. If you check inside that complex software, these are what you see inside. If you sit down with the complex, this is what you will see. They just mix basic together and they make it complex. It's still the same thing. So list all white, yellow, and black products. Everybody understand at this stage that you understand this. Don't go and put comma here after in this description. Don't put comma here, comma here. Is error because we are not choosing any column again. I'm saying that, yeah. So we all understand this. So this means where color is white or color is yellow or color is black. This is what it means. So let me remove this comment. So I'm saying where color, don't say where color is yellow, you now put comma, white, comma, black. It won't work. You have to, at every interval, you have to put the column and the observation where color is yellow, where color is white, where color is black. So it is all. But why should I take the pain of writing everything in full? It's a lot. So I will say where color in open a bracket, close it, then inside that bracket in a single quote, put yellow, comma, white, comma, black. So all of this is the same thing as all of this. Where color in, that is where color means means inside. So everything inside this bracket, where color in, that means color column that has this observation, list them based on these columns. Does that make sense? So all the products you will see, they're either yellow or white or color. They are in, in, whatever is in here. List them for me. Any question? So this in blue is the same thing as this in blue. So I'll prefer to write the latter one because it's shorter. Any question? So by the time you run this, the color you will see, they are yellow, black, white. Yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow. There's no white because there's no white in the database itself anyway. Any question? Do you understand that? Silence means yes. Okay. So where color, I've seen yellow, white, and black, but I want to see all colors except yellow, black, and white. So instead of saying in, I'll just say not in. Let me delete this. This one doesn't make sense here. Where color not in. Not in means I don't want to see everything that is inside here. So everything not in means all I want to see is not inside there. It is not inside, means not inside. Not inside there. So everything that is not inside there, but is in color, that is what I want to see. So by the time you run the query, you will not see yellow, you will not see white, you will not see black. Any means there's no color. You are seeing silver, whatever, every other color, red, blue, multi. Any question, please? Everywhere is quiet. Are we taking it too much?
Sorry, I have a question. Can we substitute this and use also like not equals to and put this like yellow in?
If you say not equal to, that means you will say color is not equal to yellow, or color is not equal to white, or no, color is not equal to black. When I can just do it like this, sharp, sharp, I'll get the answer.
Okay, so when you're using not equals to, you have to write this not equals to 3 times, and you can't just put it in that. Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay, you are saying I should say where color
is not equal.
Is this what you are saying?
Yeah, where color is
no,
not.
it is not allowed.
Ah, okay.
If you run it, it will never work. Incorrect center, it will never work. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not allowed. It's it's not allowed. So you say not in, and you're not in. Don't put not in together. It won't work. Oh. You are saying nothing. There's nothing like nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
So it is not. Just like the way you are spelling not in English. The not in is not together. It is separate. It is English now. Not in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So let me do this one. Wow. It's still a lot. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I would like, okay, let me jump this. Please go and read this. Let me jump this. Let me jump this. Remember, there's difference between and or. And means you must satisfy all the condition. Or means you cannot satisfy one or two or all, any of them. So I will jump this. Please go and read this note for those who have it, and I'll send for those. I think You see Kemi sent to everybody. Null. Null. Very powerful in SQL. It is not a value, it is a state. For example, if you put water inside a freezer, it gets frozen. So it becomes block, right? But it's still water. That state where it becomes block is like null. It is a state. If it goes there, if it lives there, it either goes into vapor, and at the end, it still comes back to water. It is still water. That block state, that ice state is just a state. It is not the end. It will still turn back to water. Does that make sense? So null, people do say null value, null value, null value. Fine. But null is not a value. Null is a state. Null means an absence of value. That means the value is missing. Something must be there, but the value is missing. So if you check a table, there's a table called employee table where there's no middle name. Some employee don't have middle name. So you want to say, I want to see all the employee that doesn't have middle name. So after you have selected all your columns and you are okay, these are all the columns. Where are they coming from? From this table. So it says produce list of employee without middle name. Without middle name means there's no middle name, right? So I'll say where middle name is null. That means they don't have middle name. The middle name is empty. Remember, don't put is null together. Is null together is a different thing entirely in SQL. So where middle name is null. So every employee, if you execute this, can you see they don't have middle name? It's null. It's empty or not empty. It is missing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I think silence means yes. So for those who have middle name, this one don't have middle name. So for those who have middle name, so you say where employee is not, this is not means they don't have middle name. This one means they have middle name. That means it is not null. That means their middle name is not empty. So everything you will see, they have middle name. Can you see? Just put not there, N-O-T. Does that make sense? All these things, like I said, you will see it in complex query. This is what you see inside a complex query. It's not null, null if it is and between, or that is what you see in a non-complex query. It's still the same thing. They are just mixing basic stuff to make it complex. Because that what they are working on, the project requires complexity. Does that make sense? Any question? I think this is the last one that we'll talk about. We have eight minutes left. Wildcard. Wildcard. Hello? You have a question?
One question. Yeah. So just to be clear, just for clarity, any expression that you're writing is based on the business requirements, yes?
Yes, absolutely,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
That's why I put my own simple business requirement here. Customers without middle name. Sorry, employee without middle name. So it's not null means their middle name is empty or is missing. Sorry, their middle name is there. It's not. That means they have middle name.
Yeah.
It's null means they don't have middle name because that is the business question.
Okay.
So whatever you write depends on what they are. And sometimes whatever they tell you to do requires adding something to some. By the time you sit down and you think and you have a problem, by the time you solve that problem today, you will see similar ones next 2 years. You know that, okay, I solved something similar like this 2 years ago. That means I can do this. So it is the problem that makes you better. If there are no problem that will make you think, all these are cheap stuff. They are cheap, but like I said, all those complex things, these are the cheap thing. If you check inside there, it is this cheap thing that you see.
Okay.
It can never go beyond this cheap stuff to make it complex. Lastly, we have 6 minutes. Let's talk about wildcard. You cannot escape this when you do SQL. Wildcard. Wildcard in SQL is what's this sign called percentage, but don't call it percentage. If you do that in an interview, you will not get the job. Wildcard in SQL is this sign of percentage, but you call it wildcard. So when anytime you use a wildcard, you are using it with a like, L-I-K. That's why I put it in the uppercase. You are using it with like operators, and is used when a partial string is known. For example, you want to buy a shirt. You saw a shirt on somebody and you like that shirt, and you try to visit Tommy's store, and you said, oh, I saw this shirt somewhere. It looks like a red stripes, looks like yellow stripes, looks like it has red, black stripes, fades, deep, dark, like. So that means you just have an idea of what it looks like, but you don't really know how it looks like. So this like is a keyword, or is an operator that you use anytime you are using this wildcard. Does that make sense? So maybe you know all your customers, but you know that there's one that has ELI inside his first name, but you don't know where that ELI is. You don't know if it's Elizabeth, you don't know if it's Eli, you don't know if but you know that there is ELI in the first name of that customer. Give me all customer that has ELI in their name. Do you understand? You don't know if it starts, you don't know if it ends, but you know it has ELI. You know, there are cases like that. You are looking for, maybe there's an employee that is messed up. I know this employee name has ELI. So give me all the employee that has ELI. Do you understand? In their first name. So you know you are going to first name column. So after writing all of this, which we've been doing okay, don't worry about all. Go and learn about this, how to concatenate. I won't do that tonight, but let me just explain it. First name plus, anytime you write name, first name and last name, there's always a space in between. That space in between, before that space is plus. That space is open hyphen, close hyphen, the space bar in between to create that space. Then last name, add last name to it. So for everything you do, you have to use a plus. So first name and last name. First name plus space plus last name gives you customer full name. If you name this customer full name Rice, you see Rice there. If you name it Kemi, you see Kemi. If you name it Kolawole, you see Kolawole. But the name you give it, let it depict what you are doing. So I've selected all of this. Now say first name, the first name is like Eli, but you don't know if it starts or wrong. So you now say first name, like, it looks like. So anytime you are using a like operator with a wildcard, you have to put open quotes. Why am I doing right clicking? Open a quote, close it. Yeah. Open a quote and close it. In between that quote, remember the wildcard is this guy. So I put wildcard at the beginning. I put wildcard at the end, because you don't know if the customer name starts with ELI or ends with ELI, but you know ELI is part of the name. So you say where first name, like, it looks like, open a quote, close it. Wildcard at the beginning, or what you call percentage, and wildcard at the end means you don't know the positioning of that. That means you don't know what start. You are not sure of what end, but what you are sure of is that there is a lie in the name. Do you understand? So by the time you run, so whatever starts, you don't know. Even ELI can start. ELI can end. But what you don't know, you are not sure. So to be safe, put ELI in the middle. That means you don't know what starts, or you don't care what starts. You don't know what end, or you don't care what end. But ELI is part of that name. That is why I put it in the middle to be on the safer side. So by the time you run it, ELI, but this is the full name. Full name. Yeah. If you check first name, where first name, like all the first name, it has ELI. It could be the beginning, it could be the middle. This is Felicia. Felicia is ELI. It has ELI. Elizabeth has ELI in the beginning. Jacqueline, no, Elijah, Melinda, Felicia, Angelica. There is ELI in the first name, but because you want to be safe, because if you put ALI, okay, any question for we already, but I want to finish this one today. Does this one. So we have, please give me 5 minutes extra so that we won't go back to it. Every other one, you have to read it yourself. I'm sorry. So, so ALI. Any question? Jimmy?
Yeah. So does the ELI have to follow a sequential order, or could it be distributed through the body of the first name? So for example, could it be E, then E to start, then L maybe towards the end of it?
No.
Okay.
ELI must follow that ELI. But wherever it's going to be now, you don't know. That's why to be on the safer side, you put percentage at the beginning because you are not sure. So you don't know what starts. You put percentage at the beginning. You don't know what end. You put it at the end, but you are sure that there is ELI in the name. So to be, because if you do it like this, percentage at the end, ELI to start, that means you are so sure that ELI starts the name. So by the time you run this, all the name must start with ELI. It is a must. All the first name is still working. All this first name, Elizabeth, Elizabeth, Elijah, Elijah, Elizabeth, Elijah, Elizabeth, Elijah, Elizabeth, Elijah. They must start to say like, because you put Eli or Eli at the beginning. That means you are so sure. That means Eli must start it. Percentage at the end means you are not sure of what started. Sorry, you are not sure of what ends. What end is tough, but yeah, Eli, start it.
All right.
But if you put percentage at the beginning and at the end, you don't know what start, you don't know what end.
So what if you swap it around then? You put percentage at the start, but then leave it out at the end. Then that means you'll be
that means
ELI
you
at
don't
the
know
end.
what starts. That means, but you are so sure. You are so sure that ELI ends it. That is, if there's any record like that. So
Yeah.
if there's no record like that, it won't give you anything.
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
Let's run it. Let's see the science. There's no name that ends with ELI. Even though your query is right, but in the record, in the database, no name ends with ELI. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me use 3 more of our time, please, so that, but we've done a lot. How do I get percentage of the keyboard again? Okay. So any question? I think I will stop there. It's too much to take in. So from here, please, from here, from here down to here, it's just still white card. Please go and read it. I wouldn't say you should read this. Read this one. And if you don't understand, ask questions next week before we continue. If not, I will assume we all understand. Read this one from order by clause down. Read them. I won't explain these two, because of our time. But from order by, you cannot escape anything like this. Order by, go by, you cannot escape them. You can't escape them in SQL. You can never escape it. It is a lie. You can't escape it. So everything I'm highlighting, go and study them. So ask me, don't read up to classwork. Stop now. Don't read up to classwork and ask me questions. So if you ask me questions, then I will know why am I saying CT is not allowed in this class. So ask me questions. Let me do this one. CT is not allowed. So ask me questions. Why? Next week. Do you guys promise to do that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Because of our time. And so any question?
Hello.
Based on, hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Mhm.
My name is Mosun. So I like to find out if we can get recordings of the past classes that you've done, because I joined when you had
Yes.
already started. So is it possible?
Let me stop recording now since the questions we're having is not based on the SQL. So before I answer the question,